Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Sweet Home, which is a Korean horror show that is currently available on Netflix, at least here in America. I don't know about other countries. But in America, it is a Netflix original show.
Wouldn't it be ironic if, it wasn't available in Korea?
That'd be weird.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking weird. So I know everyone right now is currently talking about the latest horror show from Korea that's on Netflix, Squid Game. But I was actually in the middle of watching Sweet Home when Squid Game came out, and I figured, hey, I watched Sweet Home all the way through. Let's vlog that. Korean horror is in right now. Let's do that.
Yeah, Korea, everything is in right now.
Absolutely.
The Koreans think they're so great.
Well, apparently they're really good at making movies because
no shit.
I know there's got to be some really bad Korean movies, but the Korean movies that I've seen have just all been magnificent.
Well, yeah, it's it feels like we're watching a bunch of stuff made by the people who were inspired by Park Chan-wook.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and that's all good. That's all good stuff.
So the basic idea of Sweet Home is it's kind of like a really extreme version of The Walking Dead, where you have a zombie-like apocalypse, but set specifically in an apartment complex. So it's people stuck in an apartment complex during a zombie apocalypse. Except instead of zombies, it's people turning into these Cronenbergian, by way of John Carpenter's The Thing, monsters that are these weird body horror monstrosities.
Yeah, ironically, if the title was not thoroughly already claimed, you could have called this series Resident Evil.
It feels like Resident Evil at times, right? You know? Sometimes they encounter some of the monsters and it feels like a boss battle, right?
Yeah. It does feel the T-virus, And
our main character in this story is a character who may or may not be struggling with turning into one of the monsters, as well as a whole bunch of other survivors in this apartment building. And that's kind of our core central cast. And I'll say this, even as a fan of The Walking Dead, this is a million times better than The Walking Dead. This is, not only are the creatures more interesting because each creature's a little bit different, they kind of mirror something about the person themselves that they turn into. So if you were obsessed with bodybuilding, you would turn into a big hulking monstrosity.
Yeah.
If you're obsessed with running, then you'd be one of those, you'd be like a speedster basically.
Yeah.
You know? And there are other weirder ones and stuff like that. We'll get into it's a little bit more complicated than you just being obsessed with something, but we'll talk about that when we get to the spoilers, because they kind of piece out more and more information as the show goes on. So.
Yeah.
So, so you have more interesting monsters, but more than that, this show gets you to care about everyone on such a deep level.
Yeah.
Even some of the shitty characters, you grow to like them as it goes on.
Yeah.
A great example being the ballerina chick. She's super bitchy throughout it, but as you start to learn how she operates and who she cares about and why she cares about them, you start to care about her,
Yeah. Well, and then there's the possibly Yakuza guy.
Yeah. There's something about Korean horror in general that's really good at mixing melodrama in a very organic way with horror. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of the traits that it shares most heavily with Chinese storytelling.
And yet it never feels over the top. That's the weird part.
No.
Because Japanese horror does that too, where it mixes a lot of melodrama with horror, but it always feels a little over the top.
Yeah, it feels a little funny.
Not Korean horror. A great example is, if any of you have seen Train to Busan, that's kind of the tone this movie has. You know? That kind of tone where it's very melodramatic, it's very action oriented, it's very 1 minute you're crying because someone was killed by a zombie, the next minute you're laughing because someone does something funny, the next minute you're having a serious conversation about capitalism,
Yeah.
And you're jumping through all these tones and all these situations, and it all feels organic and part of a whole, and not the things confused. It all feels natural. And this show does that for its 10 episode runtime amazingly.
Yeah.
There's just something about K-horror that just hits different, you know?
Yeah, there really is. Like, they managed to take what was being done in, like, Japanese horror movies back in the 90s and repurpose it.
Yeah, it does kind of feel that way.
Yeah.
You know? 100%. That's why this feels so much like Resident Evil, right?
Yeah, it does.
Because it feels like it's both inspired by American productions like Dawn of the Dead and things like that. Because you could, and some of the things that happens throughout the story.
Yeah, it is
very much inspired by that.
Yeah, it is at core a zombie survival flick.
Exactly.
You know?
Also being inspired by the weirdness of Japanese cinema. You know? And Japanese video games too. Like there's certain segments that feel like they were just ripped straight out of a Survivor horror game. You know? Especially when you have the main character like hunting for survivors in the building and stuff. You know, like it feels like, oh, he found the key. You're like, oh
yeah, I found the key. I'm gonna walk through the door.
Exactly.
You know?
Oh shit, it's a giant tongue monster. You know? How do you defeat this one?
Yeah, well, that was the other thing that kept working, is that they know that there are monsters outside, but then they start to realize that there are still monsters in the apartment complex itself, because it's actually a really big apartment complex.
That's actually one of the coolest things they do with this show, is that normally in zombie stories, you have the people turn into zombies because they get bitten.
Yeah.
You know, or you have the Walking Dead thing where you're bitten or you die.
Yeah, there is a definable moment where you start to turn to a monster.
But like, for most of this show, you don't actually know what turns people into a monster, how it happens or why it happens.
Yeah.
And it can feel very random at times. So not only do you have the normal tensions of the zombie movie where like, someone might have been bitten and turned into a monster. We got to be careful with them. What do we do with the person who's turning into a monster? You also don't know who's going to turn into a monster at any given time.
Yeah, well, like you could tell, like how to put it. I would say, normally I would say it's kind of a metaphor for COVID, but given when this show was made, I think it probably is just a little bit more about like just pandemic fear in general.
It does have that vibe, right?
You know, because you never know who's going to get sick.
I think it also has that vibe since often it since the monsters do seem to correlate with like things that people were doing and stuff like that. It probably, like a lot of K-horror that I've watched, including Train to Busan and some others, there's a little bit of commentary about the way the Korean system overworks people.
Yeah.
You know, you also see that in some of the characters and some of their own individual stories, you know.
Oh yeah, like they're dealing with it's because they're reaching that stage of capitalism that America has been fucking laboring under for so long.
They're starting to tell the types of stories that Japanese filmmakers do too, for the same reason.
For the same reason, yeah.
You know. You know, it's like, hey, we just got Squid Game out of Korea, right? Well, Squid Game is like the new iteration of Battle Royale. What was Battle Royale about? Well, Battle Royale was a commentary on the Japanese school system.
Yeah.
The competitive nature of it.
Yeah, the competitive nature of it and how it's kind of a winner-takes-all
exactly
kind of deal.
It's about a lot of other things too, but that at its core was like the central metaphor of Battle Royale.
That's why you couldn't do it in America.
Yeah.
Because while it's winner-take-all, that does mean there's a winner.
Yeah. You know, and now we have...
Can't do that in America.
And now we got the Korean show Squid Game, which is a new take on the Battle Royale concept, but commenting on capitalism itself.
Yep.
You know, and so there's a little bit of that in this too, you know? This has a little bit of that in some of its commentary. You know, I dig that about K-horror too. K-horror is not afraid to be very clear with its metaphors.
Correct.
Like it's almost George Romero levels of like, we're not even gonna be.
Why would we hide this part?
Yeah,
you know, it's the whole reason we made the movie.
You know, like I love that about Train to Busan too. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I keep coming back to Train to Busan because it's the closest in tone to the way this this show feels.
Yeah, yeah. This was also like based on a Korean manga.
Oh, I believe it. It has that feel.
Yeah, and I know that there is a real word for it, but like I'm not gonna bother.
Oh God, I forget.
It's like mangaka hagakai or something. I got no idea.
I'll put it in text right here because I have read some Korean comics and there's a name for it.
Yeah, you know, but whatever it is, You know, it was one of those. It got adapted into this show, and it's real good.
It's also very relatable in a post-pandemic world. You know, like as much as we want to say that we're out of it, like I've still been operating like I'm still under it because.
Well, I mean, like
we've had all these surges.
Yeah, exactly. We're waiting for the other. Right now, we're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it looks like the Delta variant is over, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, but no one's quite sure.
Yeah, 100%. I also just, oh man, I love all the characters in this. Like, the old man and the nurse.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I like those guys.
Yeah.
The Yakuza thug guy.
Yeah,
cool.
This has all your classic, like, you know, Asian drama
I know
characters.
It's not Yakuza. Korea has a different name for it, but whatever Korean mob. He looks like a thug.
Yeah, he looks like a thug. Yeah.
You know, like in a Japanese story, he would have been the Yakuza guy.
Exactly.
You know, I love that guy. The paladin-esque priest samurai dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I know, once again, samurai, Japanese thing, but he carries a katana.
Yeah, he actually carries a katana around.
Like it's specifically a thing. So.
Yeah. I actually was kind of wondering whether part of the deal, his deal, was that he actually was Japanese.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Which was something we wouldn't necessarily pick up on, but someone else might. Entirely
possible. Like, I totally, if that's true, then that makes sense.
Yeah, because he did have like a lot of Japanese stuff.
Absolutely. I like the firefighter lady.
The firefighter? Yeah. Yeah, she's great.
She's really cool. And you're not sure how to feel about the med student guy, but as you go on, you really grow to respect him.
Well, yeah, that's the whole idea. Like, he ends up being the de facto leader of the survivor team, so he makes a lot of really harsh choices.
Oh yeah, and then, like good zombie stories, they're often faced with like Kobayashi Maru's up.
Yeah. Someone's gonna die.
Yeah, like there's no-win scenarios throughout, and you just have to pick the least bad option. Yeah. It's a bunch of lesser of two evils situations.
Yep.
You know? But what I think is really interesting is that despite this movie being really dark and kind of having that same kind of Walking Dead aspect where the real monsters are the humans to a certain extent.
Turns out the real monster was man, you know?
It actually still manages to feel very light and fun at times, you know? Like, it's a good balance. Like, it's not, like, totally light, obviously.
Well, yeah, because everyone gets, like everyone that is supposed to have should have a heroic moment gets one.
You know, like fighting the monsters. If you ever seen the Korean film The Host, fighting the monsters feels like every episode you get a scene kind of like the final fight with the host.
Yeah.
You know, so you're going to have people trying to take down a monster together, and someone's not going to make it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's all done in like a very comic book, almost like almost manga style of like action sequence.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, because like, you know that in certain sequences you're like, you know, you've read enough of them, you know what the beat is going to be. All right, this is where someone dies.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to play the guessing game as to who it's going to be, and then but the writer might throw a curveball at me, you know.
And you always get that moment that a lot of mangas have where and this happens multiple times, so this isn't like a spoiler for any individual thing. It happens a lot where like the character you least expect to show up to save the day does. You know? Yeah. Like at the last second, right?
Yeah. They're also like those moments where someone's about to die and then like time stops and like for 10 minutes we have a flashback.
Yeah. You know? One weird aspect to this movie is that One weird aspect of this show is this show was in love with Imagine Dragons for some reason.
I know. There was like that one Imagine Dragons song that was like in every episode.
Yeah, it played at least once every episode, sometimes multiple times an episode.
Yeah.
It's We Are the Warriors. I don't know what the song's called. I'll put the title right here. But it's that Warriors song. And the weird thing is, I'm not an Imagine Dragons fan, and I'm not even a fan of that song. But it always worked when they used it in the show.
Yeah, because it's the someone's big moment. Yeah, you know, it's like if someone was playing like here we are, we're the princes of.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, 100%. You know, and it always seemed to work. I was always amazed at that. I'm like, God damn it, show, you made me like a band I don't like and a song that I don't like. You made me like it, so. Kudos to you.
Kudos to you. You did a good job.
Rock on.
You did the impossible. The monster designs in this are really cool.
Yeah. I honestly don't remember if... I know there's a dog that you think is going to die, but doesn't.
Yes. I don't know if there are any other animals, though.
No.
But the main one...
There's a lot of tragic deaths, though. So be prepared for every episode to have your heart wrenched out.
Yeah. Someone dies, and even when someone that you want to see dies, they manage to make it tragic.
Yes. They're really fucking good at that. You're like, oh my god, I hated that guy, and now I'm fucking crying. God
now I'm
damn
upset.
It.
Yeah, god damn it. Do that.
I hated her, and now I'm crying. God damn it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think like oh god, it's really funny. Like, one of the things I think really works about these ensemble stories is, and manga and manga related things are particularly good at this, is that you can always kind of look and see the good version of yourself and the bad version of yourself in the story.
Oh, 100%. There are many times where where any given scene I'd be like, oh god, I'd be that character in this scene.
Yeah.
I'd be that character in this scene.
Yeah, like the one I felt would be like my good side was the old man.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's just like he's dying of some terminal illness. He's just sort of like, all right, fuck it. We're just gonna fight zombies now, okay?
Yeah.
We're just gonna fight monsters. I'm probably gonna get sawed in half. Who gives a shit? Let's go.
Absolutely. Oh, another character I really love, and nothing about this is a spoiler. There's this wheelchair-bound engineer.
Oh god.
Who like builds awesome weapons for characters in this.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he was probably one of my favorite. To me, he was the equivalent of the big dude in Train to Busan, where every time he was on screen, he kind of stole the show for me. Yes. I just love that character.
Yeah, like it's kind of nice because we don't in an American. Here's the weird part: in American horror survival stories, we don't often have a character like that. Where we usually put it is in science fiction.
True, 100%.
You know, like this is a guy who's like the gyro captain from fucking Mad Max.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, with a heart of gold too. Like that's his other thing. He makes him really fucking endearing. Yeah. And you got a whole bunch of like cast of like very stereotypical characters at the beginning that get more fleshed out as you go.
Yeah, like the crazy woman who's always walking around with her baby carriage. Yeah. And then you get into her story and you're like, oh gee.
Yeah, 100%. Of course, like all these stories, never trust the uber capitalist character. That character is always going to turn on everyone.
Oh, no. He's always going to make things worse.
And there is a character like that, a shop owner in this, who's basically fulfills that role in this movie, in this show. And you hate him as much as you do in every other story.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's just sort of like, oh, come on, man. Yep. Like, get a grip on yourself.
There's also a lot of distrust of Korean government in this, which is understandable.
Oh, yeah.
Like, very understandable. I thoroughly recommend Sweet Home. If you've got some hours to kill and want to binge through 10 amazing episodes of a show. I have read that they may be doing a second season, but there's no confirmation of it yet, as far as I'm aware. I really hope they do.
Yeah, I hope they do. Because this season's story is done, but clearly not the whole story.
Yeah, there's more to come, and they kind of end on I don't know if cliffhanger is the right word, but they end on a tease for another season. Yeah. And I'm hoping that they get it, because I could totally watch another 10 episodes of this, especially since at the end of this show, they set up a season that's going to be completely different from this season.
Oh, so, yeah, definitely. Because are we talking about? We're in spoilers, right?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. We're gonna be soon.
Yeah.
So naturally, it is currently available on Netflix. It is a Netflix original show here in America. I do not know in other countries if it's on other platforms, but whatever platform it's on, check it out and enjoy. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, we're gonna talk about the spoilers. So here we go. All right,
right. So probably the largest spoiler is it's called Sweet Home. The apartment building does not survive the show.
No, it doesn't. By the end of the show, it gets fucking like okay, let's see. It's been monsters rampaging through it, tearing down walls. There's a point in which a group of biker thugs show up.
Yep.
And rampage it. They're the equivalent of the bikers in
the equivalent of Tom Savini in Day of the Dead. Or Dawn of the Dead.
You know, they also come in with their own like Negan moment kind of.
Yes.
Like from Walking Dead. And you also have the military who fucking lays waste to it. So this fucking apartment complex is fucked by the end of the show.
Yeah, it's uninhabitable. You know, what? Oh god, there's also this one character who looks like he's gonna be the big villain for a while, which is this serial killer.
Oh yeah. So at the beginning of the show, we're introduced to this thug character who kind of comes across like he's a mobster, you know? He's got the same kind of vibes that Yakuza characters in Yakuza movies do.
Yeah. And he's got like a scarred face.
Yeah. And he shows up at the apartment complex and basically tortures this one dude. And when you first see it, you're like, okay, Yakuza guy, bad.
Right.
Guy being tortured, probably owes someone money or something.
Well, yeah. Well, it doesn't even feel like you're like, this can't be money.
Yeah.
This is not about money.
That's right. It is a pretty extreme torture.
It's pretty. He's fucking not only he's making this guy suffer.
But because the show is really good at playing with your expectations and twisting things around, like you come to find out that dude being tortured is actually a child murderer?
Yeah, he's a child murderer.
Possibly child rapist too. On top of that, I don't think they ever are explicit about it.
They're never explicit, but it's like highly implied.
And Yakuza thug guy is the dude who was hired to find one guy's daughter. But the guy died before he could do it, and so he's still trying to find the daughter. And so Yakuza guy is actually a good guy.
Yeah.
And he actually has a very tragic backstory in which a teacher did shitty things to him, and no one helped him. So he basically has it out for this serial killer character, who gets one of the most deserved brutal deaths.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because like they do this thing where they have this flashback where you think you're seeing the origin of the serial killer, but it's not. Mm-hmm. It's the origin of the guy with the scarred face.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because it turns out this fucking apparently Sweet Home is in the fucking I Saw the Devil universe.
Yeah.
And just every other person, like serial killers are just out there, man. They're just all over the place.
Hey, I'm telling you, there's a secret network of serial killers in Korea. I've confirmed it. All these movies are
all these
confirming
movies have it.
You know, 100%. Movies and TV shows from Korea, they just seem to say, hey, there's a lot of serial killers
out there. Yeah.
To be fair, there's a lot here too in America, so it is.
Well, yeah, but I always thought it was really, like, I thought that was just something that, like, I Saw the Devil was gonna do.
Yeah.
And then it was like, nah, either that unlocked something, and it was like, holy shit, we all gotta do this now. Which, maybe it's as simple as that.
Maybe.
Yeah, but, like, maybe Korea does have, like, South Korea has a big... Maybe they had like a big serial killer like moment, like kind of like we did in the 80s.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be too surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah, because like it's why like in the 90s, like how like in the early 2000s, every bad guy was a terrorist.
Yeah.
In the late 80s, early 90s, every bad guy was a serial killer.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, so this guy like survives an assault by a serial killer, but the guy gets off, and so he murders him.
Yep.
And you're sort of like, yeah, okay, no problem.
Absolutely.
No problem. Just fucking kill that guy. Boom. No problem. Oh, and of course he doesn't do it with a gun. He like uses like his bare hands too, because we gotta establish that this guy's a fucking badass.
Oh, he's a super badass. And you are totally, by the time you get all the information, you're totally on his side when he's beating the shit out of that serial killer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then leaving him out for the fucking bloodsucker monster to suck him dry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the monsters. Okay, so basically, it turns out, as you find out over the course of the show, that people turn into monsters, like, it's like extreme moments of passion. Like they like.
Yeah. It has something to do with your personal drives, ambitions, and
yeah,
wishes.
you have to like really want something, like really want something.
Yeah.
You know,
like to be able to be willing to go to like an unhealthy level.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and as most people had things that they want and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people turn into monsters, and so that basically, by its very nature, leaves us with a lot of characters that are kind of in limbo states in their lives.
Yeah.
You know, like they're all trying to figure out what it is they want and who they are and all that stuff, which makes for a very interesting cast of characters.
Yeah. Well, it's also interesting because the main character, you know, our hero protagonist.
Yeah.
His desire is very odd because his desire is he wants to die.
Well,
he wants to kill himself in the beginning.
Yeah, that's his initial desire, but the desire that turns him into a monster is, I want to help her.
Yeah.
I want to help her, and then eventually it evolves into, I want to help them.
Yeah.
You know, and as a result, he kind of becomes a superhero.
Yeah.
Like, he becomes a half monster that's not fully turned, but still has control of himself.
Yeah, he turns into like a devil man kind of
guy,
you know?
Yeah, so he has all the benefits of being unkillable, basically. If he does use more of his powers, he does go a little bit more feral. It's
the farther you go, like the more monstrous you get.
Exactly. But he's able to stay in this like equilibrium state, which basically turns him into like a low-key superhero, which he uses those powers to save and help the rest of the apartment complex. But unfortunately, because they're people, they are terrified of him, and they mistreat him for most of the show because he could turn at any moment. He could do this, he could do that, or what if he decides to side with the monsters, you know, like...
Yeah.
You know, so, like, it's a thankless job. It's just like, is this the price I must pay to be Spider-Man?
Yeah.
And on top of that, like, the reason why he wanted to kill himself is because not only did his family die, he was also relentlessly bullied out of his own optimism.
Yeah.
You know, he used to be a very optimistic, happy guy, and then, like, he got relentlessly bullied for being nice to a guy one day.
Yeah.
You know, like extremely bullied. Like, we're talking months and months of being beaten and fucking like made fun of and mocked.
Thrown in front of cars, you know, like this is bad.
And pranked, like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and even when he tries to help people, like no one ever says thank you.
No, never.
You know, and this is like the big thing that like weighs on him, which is like, God damn it, like even when I do something that's trying to help somebody, like nobody cares.
You have like 2 or 3 characters that are nice to him, but one of them is only nice to him in private and publicly just treats him like everyone else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's the ballerina chick. It's very obvious ballerina chick has a crush on him.
Yeah. She has a crush on him and gangster guy.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
You know, but she can't let anyone know that. So when anyone else is in the room, she has to be a bitch. You know?
Yeah.
You know. Weirdly enough, she was actually one of my favorite characters on the show.
Well, yeah, like she had a very simple motivation. She was completely motivated by Notice Me Senpai and I don't need nobody.
The other thing you find out over the course of the show is that the Korean government was aware of this thing. Like, they were actively doing experiments on monsters before the outbreak happened. And as the head scientist that was researching it said, this is not really a virus or a outbreak, it's a curse.
Yeah.
And it seems like a curse on humanity because you get the impression that Korea is not the only place having this problem.
Yeah, it might be, but it doesn't seem like
No.
You know, like there's evidence that's happening in other places as well.
Yep. 100%. And that basically leads into the subplot with the fireman chick because her boyfriend was one of the scientists.
Yeah, he's
but
one
she
of the
didn't
head
know
scientists.
that.
Yeah.
And so like she ends up uncovering and encountering the military, who are very Day of the Dead, you know?
Yeah.
Very untrustworthy military.
Yeah, and it turns out in their experiments, they kind of give birth to like the Uber monster.
Yeah.
You know, the Uber monster that can directly possess people.
Who eventually ends up a character on the show and kind of is like the yang to the main character's yin.
Yeah.
He's like the dark side and the main character's light side.
He's everything the main character isn't.
Yeah.
He's underhanded, he's shifty, he craves violence.
He doesn't trust anybody. Main character's too trusting.
Yeah.
You know, 100%. Yeah. And you can tell that, like, if the show is going to continue, that it's...
Oh, yeah, that's the conflict. That's the big conflict.
Absolutely. Because they're the, like, especially towards the end of the show, in the last few episodes, they are the philosophical debate happening on the show. It's between the two of them.
Yeah, it's like, do you help people or are you just out for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and what's the balance?
And does it matter if people care that you help them or not? Like, if people turn their back on you, should you still help them, or should you be out for yourself? Like it's that conflict.
Yeah. It is, and the main, you know, and of course it comes down to what's the main difference. Well, the main difference is that the one creature is just willing to kill people just because.
Oh god, that moment when it just started killing people left and right, and I was just like, characters that I thought had lasted so far in the show, I thought they were safe, and they're just fucking dying left and right. Like, my heart was breaking. God damn it. And that was the moment where I was just like, oh no, you didn't. And thankfully the main character has his kind of Super Saiyan moment.
Yeah, that's definitely a Super Saiyan moment where he's like, what the fuck? Like that didn't need to happen at all.
It was uncalled for in the moment too.
Yeah.
You know, like, but that character was just pure hate.
Yeah, pure hate.
100%. He turned out to be more underhanded and evil than the fucking like biker leader dude.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that guy kind of positioned himself as the Negan of the show.
Yeah. You thought that guy was going to be around for a while, and just nope, fooled you.
Oh man, the fucking spider monster. I love the spider monster. I love the spider monster, and the episode the guy on the wheelchair fights the spider monster.
Yes,
that's fucking great.
Yes, it's. Then there's the woman that like fucking turns into the living womb.
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
You had this crazy woman that's pushing this stroller with a fake baby in it, but acts like the baby is real. And you find out over the course of the show that she had a baby, and the baby was hit by a car, and she's kind of been in this neurosis with the fake baby ever since, because she has not been willing to accept her baby's death. She's dealing with that. And so she eventually succumbs to being a monster, because her desire is to have a baby, and to have a baby that never dies. You know, so she turns into a giant womb with a baby in it. That's her monster. Yeah. And it's a peaceful monster too. And it actually
it just sits there.
You know? And it's an interesting monster because it adds a philosophical question to the rest of the show for the characters, in that some monsters are not actually monsters.
Yeah, so they're not bad. Some of them are bad.
They're not going to attack you.
They're just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them are extremely violent, but not all of them.
You know, so it's not like The Walking Dead where a walker is a walker is a walker, right?
Right, exactly.
You know, in this case, like, some monsters are kind, some monsters don't hurt people, and that even comes up later.
Yeah, like if fucking Walking Dead had, like, occasionally there was a Fido.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, and like that even comes up later on in the show again, when there's this one slime monster that ends up saving two kid characters, or one of the kids. One of the kid characters, and the other kid character is the one that actually kills it. And it's two kid characters that's dad died early on in the show. Woo! And was basically adopted by the group, with specific characters kind of fulfilling the role of parents for him. For a while, the womb woman was, and then she turned into the womb monster, and then the wheelchair guy was for a little while, and then the old man and the nurse for a little while.
The whole community kind of like comes together and makes sure there's a mom and dad for these two kids at every turn.
100%. And there's a point where a slime monster actually saves the little boy from the biker thugs that show up. But then the little girl sees it and is like, it's a monster. Monsters kill daddy. Kill the monster. And then gets everyone to kill the monster. And they torch the monster. And it's a heartbreaking scene where I started tearing up for a goddamn monster. And the thing is, I don't even know who that monster is, why they turned into slime, what their deal is, what they were all about. They killed it before you could find out. And that made it hurt even more.
Yeah. You have no idea what was up with that. And you feel like that was kind of the point.
Yeah, that was 100% the point. And it was perfectly done, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was really good. Like, one of the things I really liked about the show was having, like, lived in one of these, like Asian apartment complexes in, like, the tropic zone. Yeah, kind of nailed it. Not that would have been hard for a Korean show to nail that kind of thing. Yeah.
But it's the types of apartments they have.
Yeah, exactly. But the part about it that always, like, wigged me out is that there is a part of it that doesn't tend to happen in America, which is American apartment complexes, for the most part, are filled, lit, and ready to go. You know, like, maybe no one lives in that apartment, but it looks like someone could. Someone just has to move in. You know, that's about as close as you get. But in these ones, like in this movie and like in Taiwan, they're very common. It's very common for people to have started to move in. And then you've got floors of like nothing. Not even walls. And so there's this weird, and everything's covered in concrete because it's a tropical zone. You can't have like exposed wood or everything. It'll just fucking rot.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, you know, it's all like concrete and tile, and it does give you this really, really weird building's fucking haunted. Building is just fucking haunted. You just know it.
Yeah, I totally get it. Absolutely. I totally get what you're saying. Oh, man. I love this show. I thought this show was perfect, and I hope they continue.
Yeah, I hope there's a season 2. It was excellent.
It made me laugh. It made me cry. There are action sequences, like one in particular, where they fight this giant hulking monstrosity monster, and like they fight it multiple times, and each fight sequence is amazing. But the big one is one that happens on this construction site right outside of the building, and like they hit it with a fire truck, and and it like knocks over the car, and like, oh man, it was exciting as fuck. It was like watching a superhero movie fight scene.
Yes.
You know.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, that's clearly what they were doing. They were like, it's a horror show, but there is a place for heroics in this world.
It understands a good balance of action, horror, drama, comedy. It's like it's got everything.
Yes.
It's like there's every single thing you could have in a story they have, you know.
Yeah, and
including mystery. Like they have mysteries, you know.
Yeah, well, like it's one of those. The show has something that I realized I hadn't seen in a while in a show, which is just straight up heroics.
Yeah.
You know, like someone just coming in and saving the day. You know, like just by doing thing.
Yep.
You know, like a bit of the whole like, yo, a little grit.
And most of the characters get a moment like that, right?
Yeah, almost all of them do.
Most
at least
of them
one.
do. Even some of the characters that are kind of like the Weasley cowards from early on in the show.
Yeah.
Like even they get their moments. Like there's a moment later on when one of the Weasley cowards from early on in the show dies.
Yeah.
And I started tearing up because I had started to really like that character.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, what's his line? Guys like me never live.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, oh, that hurts. That hurts. That hurts. Oh, man. Yeah. So there's so much more we could talk about, but honestly, I think we should wrap this up because...
Yeah, you should just watch a show at this point.
Absolutely. Sweet Home, it's available on Netflix. It's fucking perfection. It is a horror show, but is also so much more. If you're watching Squid Game right now, watch this after it, because I guarantee you'll like it just as much.
Yeah.
And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Counting Jack, where you can communicate with me on tweeting. You can tweet. Use your tweets. And all your tweets, twerks, and twats.
There you go.
Send them all to me. You'd also find me on Instagram, on that cursed Facebook. Well, I mean, like, no, you can't find me on the Facebook. I mean, I'm there, but, like, I lurk there. I don't, like, do anything.
Yeah, fair. You're barely on it.
Yeah. It's a wretched hive of scum and villainy, that Facebook.
True. Especially with the whistleblower recently.
Oh, yeah, no shit.
I mean, she didn't say anything we didn't already know, but it was interesting hearing it from someone who actually worked for them.
It was interesting for someone to go, like, if you thought this was happening, you are not only correct, you still have no idea how bad it is. You're like, oh.
Wait, it gets worse.
You know, but you can definitely find me on Instagram at Satanic Jack, Satanic Jackula, sorry. And, of course, you can find me on twitch.tv at count_Jackula, where I stream twice a week on Thursdays and Sundays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we talk about all sorts of groovy things like the occult, horror movies, of course, boobs.
Yeah,
that happens.
Yeah, it does.
You know, among many other things. And sometimes it's just me on for 2 hours, fucking tearing my hair out at us because I read something in the news that I wish I hadn't.
Sometimes it's just you working on stuff too.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just me working on stuff. But like, I'm always glad to have people like come down, ask questions.
Yeah.
You participate in the show.
Absolutely.
And I hope to see you there. Remember, Thursday and Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And what about you?
Y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitch, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema, and I'll be there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you would like to help out either of us more directly, then be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. And with all that said, my fellow Gorehounds, what would be a good hashtag for this week?
Hashtag Korean Monster Curse?
Korean Monster Curse? All right. If you made it this far into the vlog, this is not our most creative one, but we'll go with it. We'll go with it. If you made it this far into the vlog, then I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below with the hashtag Korean Monster Curse. Hashtag Korean Monster Curse. Use that in the comment below, in your comment below, so that I know, so that Jack knows, so that the world knows you watched this vlog all the way through. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, that's our third vlog we recorded this week, so I'm gonna go rest my voice and start putting these vlogs together. Peace out, and I'll catch y'all later.
Yeah, no. Spacing.
Yeah, it's our third vlog. It's been at least 2 hours because 2 of these vlogs are like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm tired. Korean Monster Curse will work.
It'll be good enough. Good enough.